Hey everyone, I'm here in Querétaro, the capital city of Mexico, and today I'm going to talk to you about why you should become an expat here in Mexico and why Mexico wants more expats. If you're interested in becoming one of these elite special group of people, well, this video will explain how you can do it. Now, anyone can apply to become an expat in Mexico, except Mexican citizens and permanent residents. The good news is that Mexico doesn't ban any nationality from applying. The process isn't about where you're from, but about what you can prove. And in this video, we'll cover exactly how to do that. First, let's clarify a key term. Socially, we use the term expat, but what you're applying for is temporary residency. Your process for an expat visa, or residente temporal, begins at a Mexican consulate in your home country, as you generally can't apply for it as a tourist. The passport requirements are simple. You must have a valid passport for the lengthy visa application process. It's strongly recommended that your passport be valid for at least 1 year beyond the date of your visa application. The process begins with the interview. You'll have an interview with the consular office. Usually it's the closest office to where you live, and you'll need to verify your intentions and that you meet the requirements. The main thing you're going to need to prove is your temporary intention. To receive this visa, you must demonstrate one of 3 primary categories of temporary intent. The first is economic solvency. This is the financially independent expat. You must prove steady, sufficient income from your home country or large savings over a required period of time. This is the most common path, so let's look at the hard numbers for 2026. Be aware, these amounts are based on formulas tied to the Mexican minimum wage, so they change every year. For the financially independent expat, the required amounts are calculated based on multiples of the Mexican minimum daily wage, which increases every January 1st. To qualify, a single applicant must prove a steady after-tax income equivalent to approximately 88,500 Mexican pesos per month. Depending on the exchange rate used by the specific consulate, this is roughly estimated to 4,700 US dollars per month. This income must be shown through certified bank statements for the last 6 or 12 months. Alternatively, you can qualify by showing a large savings balance. The requirement is an average monthly balance of approximately 1,476,000 Mexican pesos, which is around about 80,000 US dollars. This balance must be consistently held in savings or investments for the past 12 months. An important note about this is that the US dollar equivalents are estimates. Consulates actually set their own exchange rates, and they can vary from consulate to consulate office. You need to check the website of the specific Mexican consulate you're applying to for the exact current amount they require in your local currency. There are some alternative paths to becoming an expat in Mexico, and there may be some discounts that could apply. The criteria for these residency paths remains the same, but they're now significantly more attractive due to a new fee discount on the permit itself. The first involves a job offer. This is for the working expat, and it requires a formal official job offer from a company legally registered in Mexico. The second is the family union, the dependent expat. This path is for those applying as the child or spouse or parent of someone who already holds temporary or permanent status. Once you're approved for temporary residency at the consular office outside of Mexico, you'll be given a 30-day temporary visa. Within those 30 days, you're required to travel to Mexico and finish the process. You have 30 days to go to the local immigration office, the INM, and exchange it for your temporary resident card. The cost of this exchange has doubled for most applicants starting January 1st, 2026. There are a few different fees for the economic solvency applicants based on how long you intend to stay in Mexico. The cost for a 1-year temporary resident card is now 11,140 Mexican pesos, with the fees increasing up to 25,057 Mexican pesos for a 4-year permit. Applicants using the job offer or family unity criteria are eligible for a 50% reduction on the 2026 fee. For example, their 1-year temporary residency card would cost 5,570 Mexican pesos. Temporary residency is valid for 1 year initially, and it can be renewed for up to 3 more years, for a total of 4 years. This 4-year path is the necessary prerequisite before you can apply for permanent residency, which is the status that allows you to stay indefinitely in Mexico. This 4-year path is what defines you as an expat in Mexico, because you do not have legal right to stay permanently. You are not yet an immigrant in Mexico. Okay, so I know Mexico City is the capital of Mexico and not Querétaro, but did you know that Querétaro was the capital city 3 times in Mexico's history? This system isn't just a set of rules, it's a strategic financial policy. So let's break down some of the clear financial benefits to Mexico that the expat population brings with it. The first is guaranteed capital entry. As I explained, most expats must prove significant savings just to get the visa. This guarantees that high net worth individuals are injecting foreign capital directly into local economy from day one. At times, people argue that expats don't pay taxes, but this isn't true. Let's talk about the sales tax, the IVA revenue stream, because this is where that high income difference becomes a massive benefit to Mexico. Let's put that expat income requirement into perspective. That 88,000 Mexican pesos a month requirement is 10 times the Mexican minimum wage and over 4.5 times the average formal salary. Because of this guaranteed high income, a single expat, just by living and spending money here, contributes 4 to 5 times more in consumption tax than the average formal worker, and 10 times more than a minimum wage earner, all while generating this revenue without taking a local job. This also leads to something that's referred to as currency stabilization. Basically, the constant influx of foreign currency from all these expat pensions and remote salaries provides a predictable buffer that helps stabilize the Mexican peso against market volatility. On the local level, this spending power makes expats an economic engine for local services. They become primary consumers for jobs like housekeepers, gardeners, private tutors, and local guides, creating stable employment outside of large corporations. With expats moving to Mexico, the demand for housing grows the long-term rental market, which encourages landlords to upgrade their properties and increases the supply of quality modern rental units. When expats buy property, they contribute directly to local budgets through annual property taxes. This money funds municipal services like sanitation, public safety, and road maintenance. In cities like Mérida or San Miguel de Allende, expats are famous for restoring historical properties. They invest their own capital to save dilapidated buildings, preserving cultural heritage, and raising the value of entire neighborhoods. And finally, many expats voluntarily enroll in the public healthcare system, or the IMSS. They pay an annual fee ranging from about 11,000 to 21,000 pesos, depending on their age. This adds substantial non-payroll funding to the National Health Scheme. And it's not just about money. The system also allows for specialized labor. The job offer visa I mentioned isn't just for any job. It's often used to bring in specialized personnel for scientific research or corporate transfers, giving Mexican industries access to global expertise. Now we need to talk about the elephant in the room. You can't talk about expats in Mexico without acknowledging the tension. You may have seen it yourself, spray painted on a wall, "Gringo, go home." That message is a raw expression of genuine pain. In many popular neighborhoods, rent has skyrocketed and locals are being pushed out. That frustration is real and it is valid. But we must ask, who is this anger aimed at? Often, it's aimed at the digital nomad on a tourist visa, working from an Airbnb, driving up rent, but not legally contributing to the tax base. It's aimed at the tourist who expects everyone to speak English. The legal temporary resident we're talking about in this video is the opposite of that. The entire purpose of the high solvency visa acts as Mexico's legal filter. It's the system's way of ensuring that foreigners who do stay here are proven high-value financial contributors, not a drain. Following this legal path is the solution, not the problem. But that legal status is not enough. It's just the start, and it comes with a massive cultural responsibility. As an expat, you become part of Mexico's resident foreign-born population, which is a tiny percentage of the total. The entire foreign-born resident community is only about 1.2 million people, which is less than 1% of Mexico's total population.
Definitely will be good to just respect our culture, our typical customs. Just to respect our life. You know, we definitely are different from other countries, and people. I would like to people coming here. They were just respectful with everything, our food, our traditions, our places.
As an expat, you're a long-term minority focused on temporary settlement, which requires a strong commitment to local legal rules. When you become an expat, you're now a temporary neighbor, a vecino, and a greater effort is required to integrate without relying on the culture of your home country. One of the most important parts of assimilating into Mexican culture is you really must move beyond basic phrases and commit to learning Spanish, up to at least a B1 level on the CEFR framework for languages. The B1 level is the key to independent living. It means you can handle most situations while traveling, produce simple, coherent text on familiar topics, describe experiences, events, and ambitions. And this fluency level opens doors to local life and shows serious respect for Mexican culture. You need to be the neighbor, the vecino, not the gringo. The gringo in that graffiti implies an outsider who is ignorant, arrogant, and displaces locals. Your job is to prove you are a neighbor. This means you do not overpay for rent and contribute to inflation. Learn the local rates. Refuse to live in a bubble. Shop at the mercado and the family-owned tiendita, not just the big box foreign stores. Seek out Mexican neighbors, not just other expats. Adopt a relaxed approach to time and scheduling. The phrase ahorita, meaning in a little while, is a key cultural concept. Patience is a virtue. Also master some daily greetings. This is a small action with a huge impact. In Mexico, it's considered essential to greet people when you enter a small space. A simple buenos dias to the people in a small shop, buenas tardes when you enter a waiting room, or provecho to a table as you leave a restaurant is a powerful signal of respect and awareness. So let's conclude with a final crucial point about the term expat itself. We will not be ashamed or embarrassed by this term, and Mexican nationals should not be emotionally triggered when they hear or read it. An expat is someone who has worked hard to get where they are in life. As we've shown in this video, they are a documented solution and a massive benefit. The legal expat has jumped through all the political hoops and gone to great lengths to attain their legal temporary resident status. They are a verified, high-value asset to Mexico, and expats should be proud of that. And so there you have it. Those are the steps to becoming an expat here in Mexico, and some of the benefits why Mexico wants more people like us. Thanks for watching.
Okay, I think definitely you can try to learn a little more of the basic Spanish, because most of the people here are speaking in English. We have always a basic speak in English, see? But definitely you can try a little more, just to talk a little more with people, just to try to respect more our culture also, not always. Because you know, when we are visiting other cities or other countries, we know that we need to speak English, because most of them they are not speaking Spanish. So you need to try. If you are going to some new place and the language is different from your language, so definitely here in Mexico, you need to try just to learn a little more. People will try to speak in English. It's also an opportunity for us to speak in other language. But yes, it would be nice just to try to speak a little more Spanish.